These are some of the most terrifying UFO sightings ever recorded, and all of them are real. From massive lights in the sky to strange objects landing on farms, some witnesses never forgot what they saw. We are going to dive into the cases that have baffled experts and left eyewitnesses questioning reality itself. Are you ready? Let's get started. Our first story takes us to Phoenix, Arizona, in March of 1997. Imagine looking up into the night sky and seeing something so enormous, so impossible that your brain struggles to comprehend it. That's exactly what happened to thousands of people. A formation of massive, perfectly aligned lights moved silently across the sky, stretching for over a mile. This wasn't just a fleeting glimpse. The event lasted for hours, seen by people across the state. Witnesses included airline pilots, police officers, and even the governor of Arizona at the time. They described a V-shaped craft, so huge that it blocked out the stars as it passed overhead. It made no sound, a detail that everyone found deeply unsettling. You'd expect a craft of that size to roar like a freight train, but there was only silence. Radar systems at nearby airports and military bases detected nothing unusual, which only deepened the mystery. The military later claimed the lights were just flares dropped during a training exercise. But the witnesses were adamant. Flares drift down with the wind. They don't fly in a perfect, rigid formation against it. Flares are bright and chaotic. This was organized and deliberate. The Phoenix lights remain one of the most widely witnessed and credible UFO events in history. Even after all these years, nobody can definitively explain what those lights really were. Next, we travel across the Atlantic to England, to what's often called Britain's Roswell. In December of 1980, the Cold War was at its peak, and two U.S. Air Force bases, RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, were on high alert. One night, security personnel noticed strange lights descending into the nearby Rendlesham Forest. Thinking it might be a downed aircraft, a patrol was sent to investigate. What they found was something else entirely. As they approached the source of the light, their radios started malfunctioning. They walked into a clearing and saw a small triangular craft resting on the forest floor. It was glowing, covered in strange symbols, and seemed to hum with an energy they could feel. The soldiers were frozen, a mix of fear and awe. The object then lifted off the ground, maneuvered silently through the dense trees at an incredible speed, and disappeared. The next day, investigators found 3 distinct indentations in the ground where the craft had landed. Even more bizarre, radiation readings at the site were significantly higher than normal. Deputy Base Commander Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt was initially skeptical, but 2 nights later, he and his team witnessed the phenomenon firsthand. They saw flashing lights, beams of light shooting down from the sky, and objects moving at impossible speeds. Holt recorded his observations on a microcassette recorder, a chilling audio diary of the event. Soldiers were trained for danger, for combat, for the known threats of the world. But this was something they had never seen. The Rendlesham Forest incident is backed by multiple military witnesses and physical evidence, yet it remains officially unexplained. Let's journey to France, to the small, quiet village of Trans-en-Provence. On January 8, 1981, a farmer named Renato Nicolai was working in his field when he heard a strange whistling sound. He looked up to see a dark, disc-shaped object about the size of a car descending from the sky. It hovered just above the ground for less than a minute before shooting back up into the sky at an astonishing speed, leaving no trace but the memory of its presence, or so he thought. When he went to investigate the landing spot, he found 2 concentric circles burned into the soil. The ground was hardened, as if it had been subjected to intense heat and pressure. Nicolai reported the incident to the local gendarmerie, the French National Police. This is where the story gets really interesting. The case was passed on to GIPAN, a French government agency dedicated to studying unidentified aerospace phenomena. Yes, you heard that right. A government UFO investigation unit. They took soil and plant samples from the site and conducted a thorough scientific analysis. Their findings were incredible. The soil had been compacted and heated to an extreme temperature. The chlorophyll in the surrounding plant life was degraded by up to 50%, a type of damage they couldn't replicate in the lab. They ruled out all conventional explanations: vehicles, chemical spills, lightning, even meteorites. After 2 years of investigation, their official conclusion was that the traces were real and they had no explanation for what caused them. A real landing, real physical traces analyzed by scientists, and no explanation. Only questions remain. Now, we head back to the United States for 2 classic cases that defined fear for those involved. First, Socorro, New Mexico, in 1964. Police officer Lonnie Zamora was in pursuit of a speeding car when he was distracted by a roar and a descending flame in the distance. Thinking a local dynamite shack had exploded, he broke off the chase and went to investigate. He drove his patrol car down a rough dirt road and saw something that stopped him in his tracks. In a gully, he saw a shiny, egg-shaped object resting on 2 leg-like landing gear. Next to it, he saw 2 small figures in white coveralls. As he got closer, the figures seemed startled and quickly re-entered the craft. A loud roar started up again, and the object lifted off the ground, a blue flame shooting from its underside. It flew off horizontally and disappeared over a nearby mountain. Zamora was left shaken, his ears ringing. Investigators from the FBI and the Air Force's Project Blue Book arrived on the scene. They found physical evidence: 4 distinct landing impressions in the ground and several burned patches of brush. Zamora was a respected officer, a credible witness with no reason to lie. His raw, terrified account was convincing. Then there's the Kelly-Hopkinsville encounter in Kentucky, 1955. One August night, a rural farmhouse became the site of a terrifying siege. The Sutton family reported that their home was surrounded by small, goblin-like creatures with large heads, pointed ears, and glowing eyes. The creatures would pop up at windows and doorways, seemingly taunting the family inside. The men of the house, armed with shotguns, fired at the creatures repeatedly, but the bullets seemed to have no effect, just making a metallic sound as they struck. The ordeal lasted for hours. The family was in a state of sheer terror, feeling trapped and helpless. They eventually fled to the local police station, hysterical. Police returned with them to the farmhouse, but found no definitive evidence of the creatures. Only a lot of shell casings and a family traumatized beyond belief. The strange occurrences and sightings continued briefly after the police left. Some of these witnesses were never the same after that night. For them, the line between our world and another was erased in the most frightening way imaginable. These UFO sightings have one thing in common. They were witnessed by real people, documented by authorities, and to this day, they remain unexplained. From silent giants in the sky to mysterious visitors on the ground, these accounts challenge our understanding of the universe. They leave us with more questions than answers. Were these visitors from another world, secret military technology, or something else entirely? The evidence is there. The testimonies are compelling, and the mystery endures. Which of these sightings do you find the most convincing? Do you think we've been visited, or is there a more down-to-earth explanation for these strange events? Let me know your theory in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into the unknown, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next deep dive into the world as strangest and most terrifying true stories. Thanks for watching.